Hello, America. Welcome to the Voice of Freedom Radio, the voice of rural America. Our environmental message is the 3 C's plan: clean air, clean water, and common sense. And God bless all of our farmers and ranchers. We cherish our Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, and will not give up our God, guns, or any of our freedoms. The Voice of Freedom Radio can be heard on KCFJ 570 AM every Saturday morning at 12 noon right after rush. I am Doug.
And I'm Ross.
And I'm Anthony.
Well, folks, this begins our 5th year of the Voice of Freedom Radio, broadcast out of Alturas, California. We're bringing you the facts, folks, like it or not. We need to move forward as a country, and the Voice of Freedom Radio will give you the necessary information to help you help our country.
Well, we'll tell you what the mainstream media will ignore every time. We're going to tell you what really is happening in the world, and we hope you'll pay attention because it's vital to your welfare. We want to save our families. We want to save our county. We want to save our state. We want to save our country. And unless you get involved, we can't do that alone. We need people who are aware, who are engaged, and are willing to step up and become part of the cause. Isn't that right, Doug?
Yes, that's right, Anthony. And you know, this year, we always had our little program where we'd say you could always get to us. You could write to us at the Voice of Freedom Radio, Box 1023, Alturas, California, 961. Folks, we got a website, and it is upgraded and has got the facts on it. If you want to go to our website, and we suggest it very strongly, because it's got facts on there that you won't get from the regular media. And
the address is thevoiceoffreedomradio.com. All one word.
One more time.
thevoiceoffreedomradio.com.
And ladies and gentlemen, up around Burns, Oregon, up there, we suggest that you go to this website, because this website was going to show you what the media won't. And if you'd like to see some people that's setting fires in July and the ranchers' cattle are burning up and what's happening, did you hear that before in the out of the media? No. Ladies and gentlemen, the truth needs to come out. And go to this website, and it will give you a lot of information.
Folks, the ranchers in the high desert up in Oregon are being forced out of business by our federal government. The facts are on our website in detail.
Big time.
We pray that you will go to our website, thevoiceoffreedomradio.com, and see for yourself, folks, what's really happening to our ranchers and farmers.
It's vital. Well, it's vital that you be informed, and that means you have to take a little time out of your busy day to do a little reading and a little research online. The voiceoffreedomradio.com has all the information, the facts, in the case of the events that are going on in the reserve up in Oregon. You simply must understand what's going on. The mainstream media isn't going to tell you. These are people fighting for their rights and their freedom. These are people who are fighting for their very survival. And the government and its agents are doing everything they can to destroy these people. You need to know, you need to be informed.
And we're not going to call them idiots like the local newspaper man did here. These people up there are patriots. And when the truth comes out, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that the Modoc Record, the editor of it, has got enough decency in his veins that he will express that he was wrong about those people up in Burns, Oregon.
Yeah.
Anthony, you're the youngest kid on the block. Tell the people how long we've been on the radio and what we're going to do.
Well, we've been on for 5 years. I know some marriages that haven't lasted that long, so that's an accomplishment, especially in the media. And thanks to the good graces of Doug Knox and all he does to keep this going, I really want to take my hat off to Doug for his determination to see this through, to see this message get out. You need to listen. Doug is as much a patriot as any of those people in Oregon, and Ross here contributes tremendously to the program. So my suggestion to you would be support us by listening. You know, we're going to be on for another 5 years, God willing. And with any hope, with any luck, we hope for success in preserving our families, in preserving our county, in preserving the new state that we want to see come into existence, Jefferson. We want to preserve our rights, and we want you to help us do that.
Ladies and gentlemen, on the 6th of January, the State of Jefferson movement presented petitions in Sacramento, and the leader of the group, if you will, is Mark Baird. And Mark, I understand you're on the line. Can you bring us up to date on what happened on the 6th of January?
Yeah, I'd be happy to, Ross. Thanks for asking. It was absolutely humbling. It was probably the most amazing demonstration of the will of the people that I've ever been involved with. I'm sure maybe there are bigger ones, but nothing I've ever seen. You know, we had well over 500 people, some reports more than 600 people, who literally drove. In my case, it was a 12-hour round trip, and people from Lassen and Modoc County came, and they were driving through snowstorms and chaining up and closed highways and accidents and rain and lousy weather so that they could stand on the Capitol steps in the rain, the cold, and the wind and tell the people in that building that we want representation and we are never going to take no for an answer. It was absolutely amazing. The caliber, the quality of people, their patience, their willingness to come, their willingness to liberty was humbling, absolutely humbling.
So what was accomplished on Wednesday?
What was accomplished on Wednesday, we recorded the last of the declarations that we have. We now have 21 counties who have declared and petitioned the government of California to withdraw due to lack of representation and dilution of vote. And now our next step is to find a legislator who will introduce our Article 4, Section 3 state split legislation. That's our next step.
And when do we anticipate that, Mark?
Well, I am working on that actually today. So I'm starting today to through that process, and hopefully it won't take very long for me to finish up. We thought we had a legislator, but apparently he's cooled on it. So I still need to talk to him to make sure that he's not going to do it. And at that point, I'll look for someone else. And think about this. If no one in the building agrees that more than 1/3 of California should be granted a request for a fair hearing, and we end up in court, they're kind of going to make our case for us, aren't they?
That's right. We become the harmed or injured party.
Yeah, that's right.
Mark, I have a question. Can you take just a minute and summarize for the folks the importance of creating the state of Jefferson and the virtues behind it? Just a quick summary, please.
Yes, I can. The importance of creating the state of Jefferson is to restore representation in the state legislature to each and every county. Now, that's not legal in the state of California. That's why we need to separate. In the state of California, they have an apportionment scheme supervised by the Supreme Court, just like all other states do right now. And so they literally are barred by what they assume is law. I could outline my disagreement with that. It would take a while, but I can do it for you if you want. But the state of California does not think that each and every county deserves representation, and they don't think that they can give it to us, and they don't want to give it to us anyway, because you can't subjugate a people if they have representation. Therefore, 51% of the representation in the state of California lies from Los Angeles and south. The 21 counties of Jefferson have 6 or 7 state-level representatives, depending upon how you draw the line, and the rest of California has 113 or 114. So we have no representation. We won't get it within any process that's codified within the state of California right now. So our only avenue is to separate from the state and form a state where constitutionally we're guaranteed one state senator for each county, and no county will have less than one assembly person.
Now tell the folks, if you will, Mark, what they can expect from their own point of view. What benefits are they going to accrue to them for this?
I'm sorry, I couldn't quite hear your question. Could you repeat it, please?
Yeah. What benefits? Tell the folks out there what benefits are going to accrue to them when we move to the state of Jefferson. What is it we're going to see?
Well, what you're going to see firsthand is a little bit intangible, but it is the inalienable right to your life, your liberty, and your property, together with the ability to defend those things the best that you can, as Samuel Adams said, and as John Locke said, and William Blackstone, and Marcus Cicero, and thousands of other men throughout history. You will gain your liberty. What financial benefit will come to you is that you will be free to use the property that you have worked so hard to purchase in order to make a living for yourself and your family. We will have responsible resource uses so that our counties can regain the economies that we once had. We will have a taxation scheme where you pay your taxes to your county, and then your county gives the state what the state needs to live on, and your money will never be used as a hammer in order to beat you into programs that you and your county don't wish to participate in. You will have a part-time legislature that can't be on the take because they're not going to get a paycheck. They're going to get a stipend, and they're going to serve because they want to serve the people they live with. You're going to have districts that are small enough that it will be easy to replace a representative that does not do his job, because the districts will be small enough. It won't cost $1 million to run for office, and anybody that values liberty and wishes to serve will be able to serve. Those are the things, and I could go on, guys. I could go on all day today and all day tomorrow about what we're going to gain out of the state of Jefferson.
Sure, there'll be a lot of benefits. We're just big on the idea of letting the people know how important this is to them, how much it will change their lives, and how, especially the ranchers and the farmers, that they will see people paying attention to their needs instead of fighting them tooth and nail for their resources. Is that right?
Sure. You will have a situation where there will never be a group that is headquartered 300 or 400 miles away from you that sends a letter to your county saying your water's lousy, and if you don't join this group, we're going to fine you $1,000 a day. Never happen in the state of Jefferson. Yeah. You will never be told what you can or cannot grow. You will never be told that you need to put a meter on your well. You will never be told what type of firearm you may or may not own. Those are the things that you'll get in the state of Jefferson.
Well, Mark, let me ask you this. There's people that's up here, because in Modoc we have a state prison up here.
Hey, Doug, can I put you on hold for 1 second and come right back to you?
Yes.
Yeah. Mark
That
Baird.
ring a bell, Doug?
Mark Baird. You rascal, you. I know what you meant by that. Because you remember when we, up there in Wairika, when they had that big meeting up there in the
Okay.
up at the fairgrounds, and the wife and I stayed up there an extra day, and Tom Pease took us around and showed us the Iron Gate Fish Hatchery, the Iron Gate Dam. We went down the Klamath to the Scott, and I got down there, and all of a sudden I realized I left my belt back in Wairika, and my pants was falling down, and I got that thing from Tom Pease, and you ain't gonna let me live it down. So pick up where you left off, Mark.
Okay, well, I forgot what I was talking about, so help me out here.
Well, let's just jump in with a new question, then. That's
Yeah.
the easy way.
Yeah, turn it.
Yes, the question I have, Mark, is there's people that's on these prisons. You know, we got one here up here on the Garden State, and we got one down in Lassen County down there, and they keep saying that if we go to the state of Jefferson, that the state of Jefferson is going to have to pay for all this, and it's going to be like a drain on our economy. But
Yeah.
you know, we got them out here, Mark. They're out here. They're, you know,
Yeah.
they'd rather badmouth
Doug,
something. They'd rather badmouth something than tell the people the truth. You know what I mean? Tell them.
Here's the deal, Doug. Here's the deal, and I'm going to tell you guys something that I mean, and I just finished saying this to another young reporter over in El Dorado County. The things that we say are the truth. They're always the truth. Our state will be based on the truth. If it isn't, then God will not smile on our endeavor, and we'll be swapping one master for another. The things we do and say have to be the truth. We live led by a liar. We have state agencies led by liars, and they are perpetrating the lie on the people of California. And the people of California have a until now. The people who are making those statements about prisons that we're going to have to rebuild or pay for are liars. That is not the truth. If you read the state of California, Camilla Harris, the Attorney General's opinion, and this isn't my opinion, this is her opinion, when she wrote the analysis of the 6 states legislation. Now, the 6 states failed. It wasn't done correctly. It deserved to fail. But we got a lot of free research out of the deal. And Camilla Harris's opinion about the division of assets is that generally the assets which lie within the borders of the new state will belong to the new state, because even though we didn't have representation, we were not asleep when they were blowing the dough, and we were certainly not asleep when they were taxing us to build the prison. So we are as much the owners of that prison as anyone else in the state of California. We will own the prison. We're not going to have to buy it from the state of California. And the state of California is not going to retain ownership of the Pitt River Bridge and then stop people from going across it. We will own the Pitt River Bridge, and all other former assets of the state of California will belong to the state of Jefferson. Because when we separate, we will also be responsible for a portion of California's debts. Well, why would you assume any debt if you didn't get any of the assets? That would be ridiculous. Now, Camilla Harris's opinion is also due to the one-man, one-vote principle. The reason we're doing this is that we would be responsible for a proportionate amount of California's debt. Since the state of Jefferson only has 3% of California's population, we are assuming that we will assume 3% of California's debt. And that will buy us the assets that lie within our borders. Now, also, since only 3% of the prison population in any of our prisons, our new prisons, comes from the state of Jefferson, we will charge a fee to states who house prisoners within Jefferson. So those prisons will not be a drain on our economy. They will be a profit center. And being a police officer myself, I am the last one on earth that would ever place another peace officer in danger. I am the last one on earth that would ever take a peace officer's paycheck from him. It is not our interest to take their paychecks nor their retirement. In fact, it is our interest to make sure that that prison is well run, safe, and well managed so that we can make money from it.
Well, there's probably a lot of things that we'll see benefits, and it's clear that this changeover to the state of Jefferson isn't going to be nearly as difficult as the opponents would like to paint it. Isn't that right?
Well, their job is to ensure tyranny. Their job is to make sure that you remain stupid and quiet and you pay. And they are out doing their job, but unfortunately they need to lie to the people to do their job, and they will answer to their creator for that lie.
Well, Mark, let me give an example of what's happening right here. You know, down in Alpine County that they rescinded the going to the state of Jefferson. Our local newspaper here, he won't put in the paper with the truth about what's going on in Alturas, but he sure likes to bring up the fact is that the people in Alpine went ahead and backed out of the state of Jefferson.
Well, the Board of Supervisors did. We don't know what the people of Alpine have to say about it.
Well, I meant the Board of Supervisors. Yeah. I stand corrected, Mark and Anthony and Ross and the people out there, okay?
Oh, okay. Now, so are we talking about Alpine County now, fellas?
If you go from there, whatever you want to go, Mark, you're the man.
No. I'm curious because I wasn't sure I heard the name correctly.
Yeah, that was Alpine County.
We were talking.
Well, what happened in Alpine County was Steve went down there and did a little town hall, and the people of Alpine County, as you may or may not know, they're very few. I believe there are just something north of 1,000 people in Alpine County, and in fact, Alpine County should be a little bit worried about staying with the state of California because, quite frankly, constitutionally, they do not possess the infrastructure that is required to remain a county in California. They don't have a school system. They don't have many of the positions and required governmental services that you need in order to even be considered a county in California. But so they're on pretty shaky ground with the state of California as it is. However, the county of Alpine consists of a lot of absentee owners from the Bay Area. And their statements to Steve Barrett indicated that they get lots and lots of handouts from the state of California, and they want to keep getting them, and they don't want to be involved in anything that's going to endanger them from getting their free stuff. So, and they're willing to be subjugated for it. They're willing to be oppressed and tyrannized. They're not, in other words, they are quite pleased to be a dog chained to the table, and they're quite satisfied with whatever scrap their master will flick off to them.
Well, Mark, correct me if I'm wrong, but geographically, it's no great loss to the state of Jefferson should Alpine remain in California.
Well, actually, it saves us about $19 million a year.
So there is a benefit.
It's funny because I am not selling vitamin pills here. If a county does not want liberty and does not want adequate representation in a constitutional republic that guarantees the rights of the individual and property rights and so on, and smaller government and all of the things you guys have heard 100 times, we don't want them. We don't want a county that wants to participate in the lie. We want counties that want to change that lie to the truth and have truth for the next 50 generations if we can possibly engineer it.
Absolutely.
Mark, there's another question that people are asking about, and I'd like to for you to address it. Do you want to say anything more about Alpine, or do we just go to the next question?
No, all I have to say about Alpine is if the county doesn't want liberty, Jefferson doesn't want that county.
Okay. What's happening is, you know that they was talking about the taxes that businesses coming into the state of Jefferson would have to pay. Would you explain something about that, please?
Well, the state of Jefferson is a state like any other state. We're going to have some revenue. However, our intention is to have a zero corporate tax rate to encourage businesses to move to Jefferson. And the reason we want to do that is because if we follow conservative fiscal values, they tell us that the more people who have paychecks, the more tax revenue is available for services and goods that a state needs to operate. Now, once again, we will be a much leaner and fiscally responsible government because we don't need 500 state agencies. We don't need a constitution that's 100,000 words long with 500 amendments. We don't need 7,200 individual units of government in order to propagate the lie on the people. So our state can operate on around $2.9 billion a year, where the state of California needs $30 billion a year. So we need less money as a state government, and we will operate on less money as a state government, and therefore we need less in taxes. Now, when people start saying, well, what about the highways? What about the roads? 90% of Caltrans is funded through federal highway money. And we are a state like any other state, and we'll get our portion of that money just like any other state would. So a lot of the money that people are whining about doesn't come from the state anyway. It comes from the federal government, and we'll be a state entitled to those monies just like any other state.
Well, Mark,
let's not lose sight of the fact that those monies, as we talk about them, are really our tax dollars coming back to us.
Right. That's right. I think California gets 88 cents of every dollar sent to it. Another tax strategy we want for the state of Jefferson is that we intend to try to create a process and procedure where people will pay their federal income taxes to state government to hold for the federal government. In other words, what we'd like to be able to do is arrange a situation where the federal government cannot use our own money against us as a state. We want to guarantee our sovereignty. So we will send the federal government what the federal government needs to operate constitutionally according to Article 1, Section 8. We're not going to send them $1 so that they can waste $1.25 of our money.
Well, Mark, you know that the state of California is actually knocking on the door up here on our water and the cattlemen. And is it not true that when we go to the state of Jefferson, it is not if, when we go to the state of Jefferson, Jerry Brown's voice stops at the southern border? Is that not true?
Amen, my friend. When we go to the state of Jefferson, we will have a constitutional convention. We will have a constitution like every other state. We will have our own governor. We will have our own Senate and our own assembly. We will have our own court system. We won't have CEQA. We won't have California CARB. We won't have California's firearms regulations. We won't have California's restrictions on the responsible use of natural resources. We won't have California Air Resources Board. We won't have Central Coast Water Quality. We won't have California's Department of Water Rights, and we certainly won't have Cal Wild. I make a mistake there?
No, you did not make a mistake.
Mark, that sounded mighty good. You want to say that again?
Yeah, except I'm old and I can't remember what order I said it in. But we won't have any of these things. You know, we're going to have a state that represents the people.
Well,
and you know what tells me we can do it? The quality of people involved in this effort. We don't have any big egos. We don't have anybody that's done anything stupid with the money. We don't have anybody that wants anything for themselves. You know what we want? We want a state where our children can afford to move home so that they can raise families of their own with the peace and security and the liberty that they deserve, and a place where their children will be able to raise families and get good jobs and live a decent life. That's what we want. And that's what the state of California does not want us to have.
Well,
the governor knows you guys still have a quarter in your jeans somewhere, because do you know what he said at the conference in Paris? He said, I believe, and this is a quote from Jerry Brown, I believe in the coercive power of the central state. California will continue to innovate, continue to regulate, and shall I say, continue to tax. Now, Joseph Stalin had a quote, and if I took the names off the front of these, would you think Jerry Brown would be responsible for his or Joseph Stalin? Joe Stalin said, ideas are as dangerous as guns. We won't let our enemies have guns. Why would we let them have ideas?
Well, I'm sure that when we go to the state of Jefferson and get there, Mark, that we don't have to take, and the state of Jefferson will not force its citizens that's up here to have to go, if they want to buy a box of ammunition, to go and get an instant check on it. What do you say to that, and what about the guns?
Well, the Second Amendment is quite clear to me, and like I say, I can prove what I'm going to say in 1,000 documents, in 1,000 letters, in 1,000 speeches by the people who actually wrote the documents that govern this country so long ago. And I can quote you documents and speeches and letters from the people who inspired the men who wrote our founding documents. The right to life is the first right mentioned in the Declaration of Independence. We are endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights, among them life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Life is the first right mentioned in the first of our founding documents. What good is your life if you lack the ability to preserve it and defend it? It is worthless. Your life is worthless if anyone can come and take it anytime they want to, isn't it? And if you won't defend the right to life, how will you defend the rest of the rights?
Well, it looks mighty good down there, Mark, as far as what's happening. I know down there, when I taped it last...
the other night?
Yeah, the other night down there, and we sort of got a slam on us down there because the people that want to stop this, the Democrats for continued circulation, or whatever you want to call them people, they said that why would we want to go to the state of Jefferson, because most of the money in California would go to the state of Jefferson. Well, look what they've done. They've taken our national resources away from us. They've run most of the counties into the ground. The people here that's still here, they're fighting on. They live on grants and all the scrap money, like you said, where they're still chained at the table. They didn't say anything about that. You know what I'm saying?
Well, maybe those left-wing bureaucrats are thinking that Southern California would become Jefferson. Then it would make sense.
Yeah, but the thing is, Ross, this state of Jefferson is bigger than what Mark and them people, they know how big it is, because if you go over into Douglas County in Oregon, Josephine County over there, and the counties along the Oregon-California border, even eastern Oregon and eastern Washington state, they want to leave and go to the state of Idaho. This is a big thing.
Don't lose sight of the fact that a large percentage of the population of the western United States are fed up with how they're being manipulated and controlled. And consequently, they talk about creating their own quote-unquote Jefferson, or leaving the state they belong to and joining another state because that state is a lot more free. What we're seeing is a movement that is just beginning.
That's right. Because the last 7 years, we've gone from a constitutional government to a socialistic form of government. What do you say, Anthony?
Well, I liked what Mark had to say about the founding documents. If memory serves, what we got when we started this country was language that said something like this: whenever the abuses become so great that our lives, our liberty, our families, all of the things that are granted to us by God are in jeopardy, then we have a right. We have a right to step up and separate ourselves from that oppression. And that's precisely what we're doing with the state of Jefferson. Isn't that right, Mark?
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. And I'll even go further. The founding document of this state is very interesting. We have to ask ourselves, why do we even need a founding document and now? In other words, if the state of California will not stand between us and overreach by the federal government, why do we even have a state government? Why do we care? Why not just let the federal government rule California? That's pretty much what they do now. But we do have an absolute guarantee from the people who wrote the Constitution of the state of California as to what vision they had for this state. And I can prove that to you. The reason we have a Constitution in California is simple. It's contained in the preamble. We, the people of the state of California, grateful to Almighty God for our freedom, that to secure and perpetuate it, do establish this Constitution. We have a Constitution in the state of California to secure and perpetuate our liberty, period. Nothing else. Governments were instituted among men to secure liberty. Whenever a government fails in that end, it is the right of the people, and Article 2, Section 1 of the California Constitution confirms this. All power, not part of it, not some of it, not the part the government doesn't use, all power is inherent in the people. Government was established for their safety and security, and they have the right to alter or reform it whenever the public good demands. In the California Constitution, we have the absolute right to do exactly what we're doing right now.
Well, Mark, it's always a pleasure for you to come on this radio program. I can't count how many times you've been on here, but you're always welcome. And you've been on here numerous times, and we do support you. And I would like to make one comment on this state of Jefferson also. The sheriff of Modoc County, Mike Poindexter, is a full-fledged person supporting the state of Jefferson. And when he'll stand up underneath the threat of the government in Sacramento and say, as long as he's standing vertically, he will not let people put wells or put meters on our wells, that man has got it. And also...
Well, I want to say something about that, Doug, if you allow me.
Go ahead.
I am a reserve deputy sheriff in Siskiyou County, and I'm not a full-time lawman like real lawmen are, but I have some experience with it, and my sheriff, John Lope, allows me to volunteer as a deputy when they need extra help, and so I have some experience with it. But Mike Poindexter is and this is one of the highest compliments I can give a guy. Mike Poindexter is a good man. He's an honorable man. He has integrity, and you are blessed to have him as a sheriff. Now, and there's another man in Jefferson who I'd like to mention, is Sheriff Don DiAgostini, who also signed the declaration that we filed with the Secretary of State. Sheriff DiAgostini is a good man. He's an honorable man. He protects his people. He protects and serves the people who put him in that chair, just like Mike Poindexter does. Mike Poindexter is the highest elected law enforcement officer in the United States of America as a sheriff who actually serves his people. And I have to say, I am proud to be a part of that fraternity, even in the small, insignificant way that I'm allowed to participate. It is one of the things that I actually look forward to. So you guys have a good one. Hang on to him and protect him.
Yeah, we're trying to, Mark, we're trying to. We're doing the best, and we're standing up for him because there's a lot of people out here that's causing the problems that is trying to take him down. But we support...
I got to say another thing, fellas. The people in the building in Sacramento are not interested in this going any further. And I'll say this to you, and I have said it to the crowd, and I will continue to say it as my last breath leaves my body. Some things are worth fighting for.
Amen.
And some things are worth fighting for, even if it means your death. Without liberty, nothing else matters. Without liberty, you're not going to be allowed to keep the money. Without liberty, you're not going to be allowed to use the property you pay for. Thomas Gordon said in 1721, and by the way, I've said this before, and Doug's heard this a million times, and so has Ross, that there's nothing new under the sun. Nothing this government is doing today is new. It's been tried by tyrannical and oppressive governments all over the world since the dawn of time. But the difference is that we, the people, in a constitutional republic, have all the power and all of the ability we need to stop this in an instant if we choose to do so. These things are worth fighting for. They're worth giving our money for. I would rather be poor, I would rather be dirt poor and homeless in a state with liberty than a rich man in California. And so I have dedicated myself, as have you men, and tens of thousands of other people across the North State who have awoken to the fact that we no longer have liberty and we must reclaim it, and we're the only ones that can do it.
Mark, I got one more question to ask you before we get out of here. You recall when you said that we need 10,000 people to call down there on the telephone. Would you explain that now, please?
Yes, I will. You go to the website, S as in Sam, OJ51.net. There's a button on the top of the website called the 51sters off to the right side. You click on that button. It's going to ask you for your name and your email address. Now, you don't have to give that if you don't want to. But if you do give that, you're going to be registered for a drawing, and we're giving away one gun a month for the next year to people who can prove that they made their phone calls. Now, the proof is relative. All you need is a phone bill, a copy of your phone bill, or even write it down on paper. We're not asking you to prove it in court. We just want to make sure we give the gun to somebody that actually made the call. But the drop-down menu has a short little script. It even tells you what to say if you can't think of it yourself. And then it has the name and phone number of 5 legislators. Now, every time you click that button, those names will change, so you won't be calling the same guy over and over again every day. And we want 10,000 or more people to call at least 3 of those names every single day, Monday through Friday, sometime during business hours. If we could get 30 or 40,000 phone calls a day to go to Sacramento, can you imagine what the people would accomplish? See, here's our leverage, guys. Numbers. We outnumber them 100 to 1. If we could get 30 or 40,000 people to make those phone calls, or get 30 or 40,000 phone calls a day, or even 10,000 phone calls a day to the switchboard in Sacramento, can you imagine the leverage we could bring to bear?
Okay, Mark, give them that email address again. Tell them how to do that. Remind them.
Okay. The website is SOJ, S as in Sam, O as in Ocean, J as in John, 51.net. Click on the button called the 51sters, and then either give your name if you want to enter the drawing for the gun. If you don't, that's fine. But call at least 3 of those phone numbers a day. I've done it before. I did it this morning. It takes less than 10 minutes. You can do it while you're having your coffee. Do it while someone's in the building, though. Wait till after 9, because I don't think they show up until then. But call 3 people and just repeat the script. And basically what it says is, I support Jefferson, and when the legislation comes up, I want you to vote for it. Now, some of them are going to ask you, well, what bill number is it? Well, it hasn't been introduced yet. So you just say, it has not been introduced yet, but when it does, I want you to support it. And then hang up the phone, and that's it. And It takes less than 10 minutes a day, and they will have to get a bigger switchboard if we do what it is we've set out to do.
This is what we talk about when we say involvement. That's such a small task, and it can mean so much. So everybody within the sound of our voices today, this is an excellent way to support this program to move to a new state, to correct to get redress of grievance for the things that our legislature's doing to us in the state of California. This is the answer. Involvement.
I have one other request. On that same website, there's a contribute button. I don't want to ask people for money because I know that everybody's having a hard time, but what we're asking people to do is give a Jefferson for Jefferson. If you gave a $2 bill for Jefferson, once a month. And if everybody in Jefferson did that, we will win in the Supreme Court because we'll have the money to do it. We've had pledged about $120,000 for our Supreme Court case. We're probably going to need north of $500,000. And if everybody in Jefferson just gave one Jefferson to the effort, $2, hit that button and contribute $2 with your credit card number. And if you have the means, give $5. And if you can't afford to give anything, please make the phone calls. We are the people. We have the power. We're the only ones that can win this. And if we stand up and get off the couch and do these few things, we can win. And by the way, 100% of the money goes to the legal fund or to print material to educate people. No person gets any money out of that. We all pay for our own gas, our own hamburgers, our own hotel rooms. We don't take any money from the Jefferson Committee in order to do these things. So please contribute, but definitely, if you can't give money, at least give us 5 minutes and 3 phone calls a day.
Well, Mark, I got a few more words I'd like to say to you. And I'm going to say it. Because I've got tears running down my cheeks, Mark Baird. God bless you, sir. God bless you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Doug, I appreciate you. You're a dear friend of mine, and you know that. And Ross and Casey, I appreciate you guys. You're men of honor, and you're putting your money and your time where your mouth is. You are patriots. Please, I don't want any credit. I am simply a soldier. I've been a soldier of one kind or another all my life. I am doing what God is directing me to do and nothing more. And any credit that you want to give me, please glorify God instead, because this is His doing, not mine.
Okay, Mark.
Mark, we know you have a dozen challenges yet to face today. We thank you again for helping us put the word out, and we bless your actions in every way.
Thank you, guys, and I appreciate your prayers. We need them. We need prayers of 1 million people. This isn't a done deal. In fact, if I have a prediction to make, I don't think the nasty part of this business has even started yet.
Well, we'll all stand together, Mark, and we'll make it, guy.
I will give my last breath to liberty, and if everyone pledges something, we'll make it.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Mark, and we'll stand right beside you, guy. Again, ladies and gentlemen, especially up there in the Burns area, Oregon, up there, Burns, go to our website. Ross, tell them about it, will you?
The website is an interactive website known as thevoiceoffreedomradio.com. It's interactive, folks. You can see for yourself our show as it develops on every Saturday. But most importantly, you will see how the ranchers and farmers in the high desert area of Oregon are being coerced and subjugated by our federal government. We need to help those men and women and their families. All they want in life is the ability to earn a living.
And farm and ranch.
And folks, they're being denied that. So stand with them. Help them. Fight the oppression that they're under.
Yeah, the government has forgotten that its role as a servant of the public. Now the government wants to dictate to the public what the government wants to do. And that amounts to a vendetta. That amounts to tyranny. We must fight tyranny. We cannot abide it for one moment.
All we're asking, ladies and gentlemen, all the Voice of Freedom Radio is asking the people up there around Burns, find out the truth about the Hammonds. You know, it's supposed to be that he started a blaze and up there in a fire, you know, and...
Well, Doug, do you realize that the Hammonds were prosecuted as terrorists.
I understand that.
That it's a violation of the word justice.
Well, we really are facing some pretty difficult times ahead. We've got to be able to force our government back into its proper role. They've become our oppressors. They are no longer our servants. And as long as they feel they have the power to push us around, they're going to take advantage of that. We need to remind them they are the servants, not the masters.
Well, the Hammonds are in prison for supposedly one of the things is starting a fire. Folks, if you want to see what a fire is, you go to our website, again, thevoiceoffreedomradio.com, and take it all the way down underneath rural enemies and take it all the way down. You can go a long ways and you can see what a fire really is. You can see people burning sagebrush and grass when there are cattle in there, and you can see cattle being burned alive. Is that what you want, folks? My God, this is a U.S. America. Come on, people. Just get the truth out.
Doug, it's time for a commercial.
Ladies and gentlemen, our website is loaded with information. We put a lot of research into it, and you are listening to the Voice of Freedom Radio. Our shows can be heard online at thevoiceoffreedomradio.com. Or you can listen to every Saturday at 12 noon on KCFJ 570 AM. Ross, we always do this, don't you? Now, you haven't been messing up lately.
Well, no, we've been on holiday, remember? That gave me the opportunity to recoup.
How do you spell that?
Does that mean
I don't spell.
Does that mean you forgot how? Is that
Yes, that's right.
time to get back in the
Until
groove,
next
gentlemen?
Saturday at this very same time, from the land that you love and the God that created it. Come on, Ross, help me out.
Good day, America.
God bless America.